Let's talk about Test cricket.
Is that like the 100, but there's lots of 100 balls?
Yeah, so there's like 100 balls and then 100 more balls going on. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. A little bit similar. To be fair, England Test team play their Test cricket like they're playing in the 100,
yeah.
So maybe they're trying to bring the two closer together. I want to ask you this question. Should Sri Lanka, West Indies and Pakistan combine to create a rest of the world 11, a squad that will tour the big three, Australia, India and England? And just before you answer that question, Bumble, a question to you, Jarrod. Maybe those that don't know the answer to this question. We've got the World Test Championship, where there's teams that are in a league competition. Why, during the duration of the World Test Championship, do some teams play so many more Test matches than the rest? Because I was trying to explain it to a friend, and he was looking at the league table from the previous year.
Can I interject here? It's absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
Because it can't possibly make sense, can it?
It doesn't make sense at all.
So they had a chance of like making it a proper league and just going, okay, so the first 3 tests of the Ashes count and the first 3 tests of India, Australia and all that sort of stuff. And those teams were like, no, all of our tests will count. And it's like, well, if you're New Zealand, you're never going to play more than 2, maybe 3 tests. I don't think Kane Williamson's ever played a 4-test series. Right?
Yeah. Sri Lanka have played a handful.
Yeah, and so you end up with this system where it's the best way to explain it to someone who doesn't understand it is it's not a league, because a league is you make sure that everyone plays each other an equal amount of times. What it is a pre-existing fixtures list that they call a league, which of course makes no sense to anyone at any stage at all. So yeah, no, it's look, it exists and we all like the final. The final's nice, but outside of that, England have never even tried to win it, have they?
No.
They've been docked at 19 points for going slow. And so they're way down at the bottom.
Yeah.
And just as an aside, back in the 50s and early 60s, that was the county championship. You'd play some teams twice and some teams once. And the winner of the county championship, which you wouldn't know, you're far too young, Sam. What do you think you got if you won the county championship, 50s, 60s, early 70s?
A meat platter.
What do you think?
That sounds really good, by the way. I found that a big trophy.
You wish. You wish. A meat platter, you wish.
Go on, Bumble, what did you get?
A flag.
A
Got
flag?
a wonderful flag to fly. And you flew it the whole next season to say you are the champion. Got a flag.
So you won a flag if you won the county championship.
Yeah.
But the person who made the quickest 100, the Walter Lawrence Trophy,
yes,
got actual prize for scoring that fast.
Got a car.
You were better off, all your players, trying to get the quickest 100 all year.
And let me tell you, we did.
Bumble, we know that the big three are playing anywhere between 15, 20 test matches in a calendar year, and we know that so many of the rest are playing a third of that, if even that. How big of a problem is this? And then is that suggestion I've just thrown your way?
To me, I'm putting myself as a person from that country.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I want to represent my country.
Yeah.
There's nothing better. That first time that you get your cap or your sweater and, all your ambitions and your dreams have come alive. And I want to represent my country.
Even if that means you're only playing 4 test matches a year, where in this new suggestion, you're touring Australia every couple of years, you're touring India every couple of years, you're touring England every couple of years, you're playing consistently, you're playing test cricket against the big three and also New Zealand and South Africa.
I can see the merit, but I can't get away from I want to represent my country, and that's down to the administrators and, of course, the big three who take all the money for redistribution and make sure everybody's on a level playing field.
Is this ever going to change, Jarrod?
Okay, so what could have happened about 5 years ago is they could have had a proper World Test Championship. They could have had 7 teams in Division 1, 7 teams in Division 2, so promotion and relegation. You would have then had a final. Everyone would have played each other. India and Pakistan could have sorted themselves out. As far as I'm concerned, they could have draws if they don't want to play each other, right? That's fine. We could have set a system like that up. We could have sold it as like we sell the World Cup, like as one big TV rights package and streaming package these days. And then all the players would have been paid out of those pools. So it wouldn't matter that the Indian, Australian and English boards have more money because the players would be paid by the TV rights directly. And the smaller team said, wait a minute, we could get demoted? And so no one wanted that, right? So the smaller teams have as much a price to play in this as everyone else. The other option, which he's going to absolutely hate, is one day I believe we will have franchise test cricket. So the system you've come up there with is fine, and I understand it, but I actually think what we will have is we will have a franchise in Pakistan, we'll have a franchise in other countries, and it will be done that way. But whether that happens in the next 5 or 10 years, I don't know.
What do you mean a franchise test team? How does that work?
Test cricket will be run as a proper league, and it will make money, but it will be made money as a franchise.
So they'll play the franchise league for 2 months a year, and that'll just be it.
So you know how you have golf?
Yeah.
And you have a golf tournament almost every week of the year,
Yeah.
but you only have one?
Yeah.
We will have a test match almost every week of the year, but it will be different franchises playing each other.
And that'll be played throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, and it will be funded by the rights directly, so there's enough money to pay all those players to play, but they won't be playing for Pakistan. And I'm not saying there won't be a Sri Lankan franchise, because I think if you're smart, you would keep the heritage to Test cricket, but I don't think everyone will be playing.
I'm sorry, I can't play in this. I'm at the Major League this week.
No, well, I think when that happens, it'll be a split.
All right.
That's the only way to do it in the future. There's no way we can keep going the way we're going.
No, absolutely
Right?
not.
So if you're smart and I always thought it was really interesting, Saudi Arabia, right? So they were really interested in doing a live golf with cricket, right? Greg Norman basically said it out loud, right? He's a golfer. He basically said,
No relation to John Norman.
Yeah,
It's
his brother is.
yeah. He basically said, Saudi Arabia's going to come to cricket. And they ended up doing a partnership with the IPL. So actually, if Saudi Arabia was going to do it correctly, they'd just be like, why don't we just buy Test cricket and have it, and we will be the people who look after Test cricket and run it as properly. They don't, if it was someone like Saudi Arabia, they probably didn't even need to do it as a franchise. They might have just done it as we would just pick the best players from each country. And there was already a breakaway league that Lalit Modi was involved with about 2015, 2014, that was looking at doing this sort of stuff before. So I'm not making it up. Someone's already tried to make this model one way or another. What you're saying there, the problem with that is, it's very important, Pakistan, Sri Lanka and the West Indies all hate each other. And so I think the best thing that could happen in T20 cricket would be Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, maybe even Oman, have a joint Asian league that doesn't involve India. And like what we have in rugby union in Australia and rugby union in Europe, and have like these big leagues where you have 2 or 3 teams from each country playing. But the reason they don't do it is because they all hate
Men like each other, yeah. Bumble, you love Test cricket. You've played it, coached, commentated on it. Do you think what Jarrod is saying, is that how you see this going in the future, in the near future perhaps?
Well, that's interesting. It's got to change. There will be a change. I mentioned earlier that they're just spinning plates, these administrators. The sadness to me is that it appears that folks are saying, what's in it for me? And there is a bigger picture. The bigger picture is the game of cricket. And so, being English, probably being Australian, you want Test cricket to survive and be competitive. And I can't get away from the fact that, and we've discussed it many times, that the big 3 take all the money. And so it's the haves and have-nots. And the have-nots are going to have less and less as we progress.
So that's the biggest problem right now, you think, the distribution of the money?
In my opinion, you've got to distribute that money far better.
Jarrod?
I think the biggest problem, you remember when Ben Stokes occasionally would say, the people in charge have got to do something? I don't think Ben Stokes realises no one's in charge of cricket. The ICC is not in charge. Jay Shah, who's running the BCCI, is not really in charge of cricket because he's got other concerns to worry about. The ECB and Cricket Australia chairman are not really in charge of cricket. I think the biggest issue is, and it comes down to eventually what he's saying is you need to distribute the money, but also they're not earning as much money as they should, right? Because there are test matches being played all the time that people all around the world would love to watch, and they don't even have the access to watch them on a streaming platform. Right? There's no actual way for fans to watch all the games that they would want to watch. And so I think the biggest issue is that no one is running the game. And when no one's running the game, it's the spinning plates thing you're talking about before. Right?
Spinning plates.
And so where Test cricket ends up, the truth is that Test cricket is worth a lot of money, right? When I was in India and talking to all the TV executives over there, they were like, we are stealing Test cricket off the boards. They are giving it away. We love it. It's like 30 hours of broadcasting. People come back to it every single day. The narrative changes. Even like they were comparing it to golf. They were saying in golf, like you might like 1 or 2 players, so you switch in the afternoon when you think the better players are on. You don't want to miss the first ball of a test match if you're free, right? You want to go in. They were talking about it as this incredible product. When have you ever heard a cricket administrator talk about it that way, right? And that's because no one is in charge of it. If I asked you who runs Test cricket right now, who would you say?
Someone really powerful at the top of the ICC?
No, ICC don't run Test cricket. They actually are not organised. They're nothing to do with Test cricket. Test cricket is bilateral agreements all around the world. No one runs Test cricket, right? And that's why.
So it's simply down to the ECB when they're planning ahead, going, yeah, we'll have a test series.
Yeah, we'll go over there.
But we don't want to go over there because they're not very good.
Yeah, or we don't want to go over there at that time of year because,
Yeah.
that doesn't suit us. So that other country. No one is actually in charge of the schedule. No one is in charge of the planning. No one is trying to sell the overall rights. And then we have this World Test Championship kind of on top of it where we have a final, which is nice. I love the final. It's a cool little event. But no one runs Test cricket. And so if no one runs it, how is it being run correctly?
Sure.
It is not.
The one thing there is that it fills a slot for a broadcaster, 8 hours minimum. The sort of downside to that is that your broadcast costs are astronomical.
Yes.
On TV. That they are massive, absolutely massive, upwards of £250,000 per day to do it properly. Which brings it on to county cricket streams. You can do it adequately with 6 to 8 cameras, adequately.
Yeah.
Bring your costs down.
Do people at the top, because you mentioned there no one's actually running Test cricket, do people at the top of Indian cricket, Australian cricket, English cricket, do they have a responsibility
Yes.
to help out? Should they be doing more to then be responsible and sit down in a room and try and come up with a plan themselves to help you Sri Lankas, West Indies, etc.?
Just very briefly, they are the custodians of the game right now. They're in charge of the game. They've got to see a better picture. They've got to see a bigger picture, and that is the game of cricket. And how can they enhance it, make it better for men and women? That's what they should look at, not what's in it for me.
You talk to administrators and they'll say things like, I remember Giles Clark used to say this in Srinivasan. So 2 of the most powerful people ever in cricket, and they'll say things like, we're just servants of the game. They don't really act like servants of the game. And also, what part of cricket do they like? Maybe they just like cricket in their local area. Maybe they like, maybe Giles Clark just wanted Somerset to be strong and make sure that he got a couple of Somerset players. And I'm not having a go at him. He's from Somerset. That's his thing, right? That's where he's from. But cricket isn't about your local area and isn't about, the England, Indian, Australian men's test teams, right? It's about so much more than that.
It is.
And no one is in charge of that side of it because the ICC is basically an events company that runs a couple of tournaments.
Is there any way, guys, you've had your suggestion how you think Test cricket could look like. Is there any way that Test cricket in the very near future could simply look like just 3 teams playing it and that's it? Or do you think we'll never get to that stage?
I hope we don't get to that stage. I really do. But, teams are finding it tough. Countries are finding it really tough.
I think we started hearing that West Indies and New Zealand would stop playing tests around, 14 years ago? It's interesting to me that they're all still playing tests and that no team just went, let's stop. And I remember when Scotland was coming through.
Yes.
Scotland basically went, what's the point of us putting any money into first class cricket, right? Like, if we're going to become a test nation, how are we going to do it? We're going to become a test nation by the ODI World Cup or the T20 World Cup. That's how we're going to do a pathway. And I'm interested in the fact that no major teams have done that. Now, is that because mostly the administrators are old and really like test cricket? Maybe they're keeping it alive from that point of view. My guess is that it doesn't lose as much money as people say it does, right? And that it is actually still making money. What it's really doing, though, is making less money than T20 cricket. And I think that is the more interesting thing, that we compare it to the other format rather than actually going, as a single entity, is it still making money? If it was making no money and all these places were losing out, surely they would have just stopped doing it. Like, I'm not a business person, but at a certain point, everyone would just be like, we're going to have to stop this. Because Sri Lanka is still playing tests, and I can tell you this, the Lanka Premier League is not making them a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
Right? And they're still playing tests. Where someone is funding that at a certain point.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.